Alexandria, how's your weather down there in San Diego?
Great as always.
Yeah,
Actually, today the weather is actually a little bit warmer. I have the fans on, but no AC yet.
no AC.
Yeah, I'm going to try to make it as long as possible without running up the AC bill. So we've made it to July, which is fairly impressive, but that will probably be changing sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I can imagine Andre's probably got his going. I have mine going. We're in the heaps of summer up here in the Midwest, northern Midwest, I should say.
Yeah, well, luckily I think the weather's been a little mild so far in my neck of the woods, but I know there's been some major heat waves out there. Speaking of heat, the freight market's also picking up. I've noticed lots of trends. The rate per miles seem to be increasing, which is great for our fleet partners that we have as well. Always happy to see when business is thriving for them and the drivers out on the road. So that's always excellent to hear. Big
Absolutely.
money, big money, big money, right? Um, well, I know we still have a couple people possibly still trickling in, so we'll do just kind of a soft warm up here. Typically, though, at Connects, we work with lots of over-the-road transportation companies, helping them streamline and facilitate their fleet maintenance, especially when it comes to the assets they own. However, we also help numerous companies support their other assets like their distribution and facilities and warehouses. So we like to treat all of our customers' assets equally in that sense and helping support them streamline maintenance tasks across the board. So I have my lovely colleague Evan here. He's worked with numerous our customers, not only onboarding them and integrating their existing softwares to make things the most feasible, but he will be able to kind of go over this perspective of how you can use our software to support your not only your fleets but your facilities, distribution centers as well. So thank you again, everybody. And if you do have any questions, we love them. Use the Q&A at the top and we can go over those at the end. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, Alexandria. That was a very nice intro. And just to piggyback on all that great stuff that, you had just mentioned, we are a very scalable product and we provide a great service out there for not just our fleet customers, but others as well. And just to kind of give everyone a broad look at kind of who we are and what we do, we are Connex, and what we specialize in is really simplifying and automating processes related to any type of asset maintenance, specifically for compliance reasons and, of course, safety reasons. Today, we'll be walking through more facility, I would say, oriented type of forms and processes that we've digitized for this example and for others in the past. But keep in mind that anything that you see is highly configurable and can be manipulated in any which way you would like it to work for your end users, really. And that's who this is all built for, right? This is kind of what led us to create iMarq, which is the mobile app we'll be demonstrating today. It's a cloud-based system along with a native mobile app that's really used and deployed to help track and schedule and execute all these maintenance tasks right from a tablet or a smartphone. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to showcase the mobile app really quick. Let me just pull this up. Let me know if you can see this okay. Right now I'm showing this on my iPad, so I can manipulate, I can move this around, and I'll try to use the mouse here to let you know where I'm selecting. Can you see this okay, Alexandria?
Looks good on my end.
Perfect. So right now I have our demo system loaded up. And for demo purposes, we have a whole lot of features here loaded up on the home screen. Please keep in mind that I mentioned earlier this is configurable, and it is even configurable down to the user specification. The user may be a mechanic or a technician or a warehouse staff or some type of admin manager, right? That's wants to oversee and look at what types of tasks need to be accomplished and things like that. So we can configure it down to their specific user profile so that they only see what they need to see. And our goal really there is to help, I'd say, reduce the number of screens and clicks that they need to do in order to enter into the task and do what they need to do. So from the top down, you can see we have some basic timekeeping capabilities and some other great modules you see here, like approval processes. What I'd like to quickly highlight on are two modules in particular. One is going to be my work queue, and the other one is going to be new. So for all of the planned and scheduled related tasks that you have, it could be related to your facility or any other type of asset. Say you want to put these on a scheduled basis, you don't want to have to remember, put it on a calendar somewhere, and then hopefully someone sees it and executes the task. This is where you can have full visibility to you and your team and your company as to what tasks are out there to be executed at any given time. So when I go into my work queue, this is going to be a list view of all the various tasks that are assigned to me or perhaps a group of people, right? And at the top here, you can do all kinds of detailed searches, such as, hey, I'd like to see all the open work orders or tasks or inspections that are associated with a specific location. So we can kind of narrow down the search by the address, right? The location of this particular facility, or maybe it's a particular asset that we're looking at, like a piece of equipment inside your facility. Maybe it's the name of a specific technician that you would like to see it's been assigned to. So we can configure any kind of filter that you would like to do any detailed searches here. You can even search by status, right? If it's a high priority type task or something like that. So this is basically a list view of what we're looking at right here of all these different tasks that can be, again, assigned at any given point in time. We have built-in calendars here on the right-hand side so that they can see if this has been executed or I would say assimilated with your current calendar or scheduling system. You can see things such as when it was assigned, when it was due, or how long it's been sitting in the queue. So these are some general things we can do as far as scheduling. If you have multiple facilities or locations of where these assets are being stored, you can also view them on a map. So we have the map view here. And just as an example, I'll show maybe a list of tasks that are out there. Let's look at it. That's my physical location right now. Let's look over here and say, okay, look at these are all these facilities or different assets that we need to maintain and look at. So maybe if I'm up in the Lancaster area up here near Palmdale, I can see that there's 3 tasks and 2 tasks to assign up here. I can actually select them from the map view, like the 2 here, and quickly scroll through and see which tasks are up there to be completed. I can route myself. I can call people on site using my mobile device. Keep in mind that this is a native app, meaning that it takes advantage of all these native features that are inherent, right, on our mobile devices, like GPS capabilities. Obviously, if you have a phone option on there, you can call someone on site, and other things like adding photos and things like that, which I will get into in just a moment. I'm going to head back to the main menu and quickly touch on one more module before I actually show some great examples of some different processes that we've done in the past. And the other one's going to be new. So say you need to start a new task, any paper-driven, any manual-driven process that you would like them to have access to. Maybe it's your general roof inspection that you need to do on a monthly or weekly basis, and you want them to just select that form to fill out and submit for someone to review it. This is where we can store all of your digital forms, your inspections, work orders, whatever it might be for them to select and start from scratch. Now, I'd like to show a better example of this. Now, bear with me a moment. What I'm going to do is share my screen, but more broad view of a particular form that we see quite a bit across various industries, specific ones that have a lot of compliance built into it, such as like the fuel industry, oil or chemical industries. So what we've done is digitize a specific form related to uh, storage tanks, within these facilities. Can you see this okay, Alexandria? Thumbs up, okay?
Yep, looks good.
Perfect. So on the left-hand side, you see a pretty standardized form that we see provided in this industry. And again, these are checklists that are used by facility managers, environmental health and safety officers, Class A and B certified operators, anyone who's designated on site at these particular facilities to fill out this information and have on hand, whenever there might be an accident or some kind of audit. So what we've done is we've digitized this so that now they don't necessarily have to grab or download this form off the internet, right? They don't have to print this off and walk around the facility with a clipboard and a pen, anything like that, and then file it away in a paper copy. This is where we really can enrich and kind of simplify the process. So what I'm going to do is find this exact document. I'm going to go to new here, like I'm starting a new task. I'm going to do a quick search here at the top. I'm going to do a quick search for this particular one, and I'm going to write in monthly, the OSHA monthly tank portable container inspection here. And now I have this exact form loaded up on my app here on the right. Notice it's pretty much line for line, essentially going to be the same process. So what's great about that is that we're not necessarily changing the process. We're following all the designated steps. But keep in mind that this is now a living kind of breathing document on our app so that we can manipulate the way the workflow is, right? We can optimize the workflow based on what works best for the user, what particular things that they want to do first or last or somewhere in the middle, right? We can change all of that based on the user's preferences. But right at the top, we have a set of instructions, and we've also listed those instructions here with our built-in work instruction shortcut button here, which is going to essentially be the exact same set of instructions here. And then we have all the same exact sections that need to be filled out, like the tank and piping, equipment on tank, and so on, 1.0, 2.0. We've essentially matched those right here. So if I select tank and piping, that breaks down an opening for me to put essentially the same thing, right? Checking a yes, a no, or a non-applicable. So what we can do is hit yes or no on all of these. Now, maybe I say no on this particular task. Notice that this becomes red. This is what we call conditional formatting, meaning that you can require the inspector who's inspecting this particular, part of this inspection to actually put in a comment. So then a comment becomes mandatory. Notice that all these little tasks also have these little red asterisks. That means that these are also required fields they have to fill out in order to complete the document. So if I try to submit this at the bottom, it'll give me an error telling me I need to provide further information that's required up here. So it says I need to require a comment. We can also do the same thing with photos. So if I need to put a comment, I can maybe give some kind of data here. I can, write in some answers here using the keyboard, but I can also utilize the microphone for speech to text. I can simply notate my notes and then go ahead and hit OK, and all of them will be saved.
Hola,
So now you can
Evan.
see. That's right. And keep in mind, Alexandria brings up a good point that this is fully supported and multilingual, so that if you have other native speaking languages that your technicians or your employees are speaking, they can use their native language, and the output can actually be in English. So again, pretty general checklist. It kind of checks all the boxes here, but on the physical form, you see it'd be kind of hard to attach a photo or with further comments in here. So with the ability to add in extra photos and comments in here, it really helps enrich this document and gives more information as to what they're seeing, when they're actually doing this inspection. And we've applied this same logic essentially against all these other different sections as well. So they can go ahead and make their selections, fill out everything that they need to do, check, 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 all the way down to the bottom, where it comes down to a couple others. We have these two right here. Again, just checking across. If there are photos or comments necessary, of course, I'll fill out and make my selections there. So now I've essentially just done this whole checklist with photos and comments in a matter of under a minute. You know, I've gone through and done all this. It's pretty quick and easy how fast I can scroll through and get it done. But again, if you want them to follow a certain set of instructions, we can configure that type of workflow to be in there. And we've matched all the same matches now. So now we have inspector signatures, and we can also add multiple signatures if there are multiple inspectors. We can store these inspectors on a drop-down list here so that you can select your name and the date as well. We can automate the date. So this pulls up a date keyboard, as you can see here. And we've also included some other key features here, things like barcode scanning, uh, more built-in work instructions if you need them. We have geotagging capabilities as well as timestamping. So really from an admin perspective, you'll be able to see exactly who filled this out, when they filled it out, and where they filled it out. And we can even put reference images in here as well. So if you want to see images from, say, the past inspection of this particular piece of equipment, they can have a shortcut to that and actually get a nice side-by-side comparison as to what was taken before and what they're seeing now. So again, pretty straightforward checklist here. I'm going to hit save here. This saves all the work that I've done so far. So I can hit save as many times as possible. And it also gives the admin a good chance to see, you know, how far I've gotten into this inspection, where I've dropped off, and possibly where I need to finish at a later point in time. The next inspection I'd like to kind of highlight is one specific to OSHA. You know, we do want to ensure that every facility is maintained to OSHA standards, you know, for compliance reasons and every other kind of reason that OSHA exists, which is why we've also configured this particular inspection in a similar way. So I'm going to go back to new. I'm going to load up this form. I'm going to do a quick search here at the top. And I'm going to look for the OSHA document here. So we have the industry inspection checklist. This is a rather lengthy checklist. You know, we've gathered this. I mean, you can see how long this goes. This is probably, oh, I don't know, at least 100 or so pages in here. And so filling this out by hand obviously is not ideal. You're obviously going to only get a yes or a no and some basic comments in here. But obviously doing this, you know, by hand would not be ideal, or even using some kind of Excel or Google Sheet to do it. It's just not going to be feasible. Which is why, again, doing this on a native mobile app where you can add in photos and comments and other things in there to really enrich and in the case that you do have an audit of some kind, you're fully prepared and you don't have to go digging through some kind of SharePoint folder. You can come right into the app, find that document, and send it off, you know, in the PDF format that you're seeing here on the left. So what I had my team do, just as an example, so we don't have to go through 100 different pages for this. I had them do the first 7 pages because I saw some key things in here that I think are very important. Coming from the supply chain world and warehousing world that I used to be in long ago, I noticed, and I did a lot of this type of inspections, you know, when I was managing these facilities. You know, the safety and health programs were especially useful and have information up posted for your employees. But even the things like the fire protection, right? This was always something that we looked at on a weekly, if not monthly basis. So for the fire protection, you can see this is just another section we broke down here. Again, a general checklist with photos and comments that you can easily add in there. But this is such key information that is essential to, you know, keeping everything that you have ready to go in the case of a fire or some type of incident that you need that you need this equipment to be working at top condition. So again, pretty straightforward. This is an easy checklist to fill out, but it's also just super key to have this stuff on hand. And especially if you're taking photos of the tags, right, that have the expirations, or maybe there's a malfunction of some kind on the gauge. This is stuff that you want to provide and have on hand so that if there's ever some type of investigation, they can see it and come back in here, and you'll have all this information readily available, right at your fingertips here. We've auto filled in the date. We can auto fill in the time as well. So think if you start this inspection, we can start kind of an invisible clock in the background, and now we're tracking how long it takes to do this. And this also can be broken down into numerous sections done by numerous different people. So if you want one inspector to do these first 5, sections, right, and then the next 5 are due from another inspector, perhaps on a whole different shift, we can break those down into 2 different tasks. Same thing with images and geotags. We can add in any of these features anywhere you see within the workflows themselves. So if you want to be able to barcode scan a specific piece of equipment, whether it be for fire protection or something else, maybe it's the equipment you use to maintain your forklifts or other type of safety equipment, right? This is stuff that we can barcode scan in there. You can autofill the information in the description of that piece of equipment and have that all stored within the system so they don't have to fill all that stuff out. And then speaking of forklifts, this is another key area that I think we do a really good job in kind of helping maintain. I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. I'm going to bring this to the forefront. And what I'd like to show you is a couple examples of some of those forklift inspections that we do. And these can be done, in the beginning of the day. They're typically done in the beginning of the day, right? Almost like a pre-trip inspection. I know that's sort of familiar to a lot of our trucking customers that do those pre-trip and post-trip inspections. This is the same thing that coincides with safety equipment like the forklift and things like that. But we have terminal name in here. We have dates, shifts, equipment number, of course, which can be barcoded and you can take a photo of. Notice that the photo is actually required in this sense, so I can't submit without putting a photo of this piece of equipment in there. The start and end reading times, the time in, time out. Again, these are all just configured to be so that they don't have to necessarily fill that information in. We validate the information that they need to put in these line items. Scrolling down, again, pretty straightforward checklist, but this is essential to keeping the stuff up and running. I know if a forklift goes down, during a busy time of the season, that can affect your whole day, if not week. If you're not moving things in and off your shelves, you're not following the FIFO rules, and you're not getting trucks in and out of your facility, it's just going to get backed up. That's why, these forklifts are so key. And this is also great information you can relay to any of your, forklift leasers that you probably use, to maintain this equipment. I guarantee that they'll have a much better viewpoint and understanding of what they're dealing with or what they need to come on site and fix with all this information filled out so nicely. And this is a report that can be, generated into a PDF and sent right over to your provider, so that again they have all the information that they need before they come on site and do whatever work's necessary to get it up and running again. Photos, comments, anything can be configured in. Sorry, Alexandra, you had a question?
Oh, we had a quick question about forklifts in the chat, but I can save it till the end.
Okay, I mean, since we're in the forklift inspection now, I can answer it real quick.
Andre asked, how long does it take to configure a form like a forklift inspection, and can we adapt the ones we already use on paper?
Absolutely. That's actually a great question. Anything that you're currently using on paper today can be configured, and we like to pride ourselves in a quick turnaround. What we like to do is is get this stuff back to you in a working order within, about a week's time, if not less in some cases, depending on the complexity, of course. But what we do is, we want to get a quick turnaround, but what's more valuable is to get the feedback of the actual users and understand really what's going to make their life easier. So that's where we get a quick turnaround. We want to get it in your hands and we want to get your feedback so that we can get you up and running in the way that you want it to run quickly. I hope that adequately answers the question. So again, pretty straightforward forklift inspection here. These are going to just be straight up check marks, and then you can sign off here. And then, of course, this is digitally stored within the cloud. You can find and recall these documents anytime you need them. You can ship them off to, you can have them synced with your current SharePoint or OneDrive, whatever you might be using. We can sync all these documents with whatever storage system you have so that anyone can recall these documents from any given time. So you're not relying on one person to know where to find this document. This is going to be readily available to anyone within a couple of clicks of the mobile app and or our backend web portal. And now lastly, I'd like to highlight one other key area that I think is an extremely valuable tool. And this is actually a module that we've pre-built in for numerous, different types of companies, not just facility driven, but this is what we call our service request. Now, when I come into service request, what we've done so far, what we've done for this particular example is show how it can be used as a very strong reporting tool or incident reporting tool, I should say. So right now it's been configured to be, again, a general incident report where we can select from a select list of different incidents that you want to store within the system. So I have a drop-down menu here with some different things we can select. Maybe it's an oil leak on the floor or a tractor or trailer issue. Again, this is stuff that you may see while you're walking through your facility. It's not necessarily planned. It could be an accident that no one's paying attention to, but obviously needs immediate attention, right? So if it's an exposed wire or something like that, right, we can put in that. We can also put a brief description of what they're seeing, again, using speech to text and saying, hey, I'm seeing an exposed wire on the floor here. And hit done, and now I can see my notes been taken. I can put this as a critical or even an emergency type of priority. Now, depending on the workflow of where this needs to go or who needs to, capture this data, we can follow any workflow that you would like it to go to. If you want this to be sent directly to your CEO as, hey, there's a down wire in the back, someone's going to take a look at this, we can send it right to their email ID so that they understand that there's a problem going on. Or perhaps it's your safety officer or someone else on site that, handles this type of stuff, the warehouse manager, anyone for that matter. So we can put in further comments here. Of course, even attach images, right? So if you have time to snap a quick photo, you can take a quick photo. So I'll just take a quick photo here of my mouse as just an example. I know that this isn't necessarily an emergency here, right? Let's say that there's something within this photo that you want to highlight, right? So it's like, hey, let's look at this photo. We also have this great feature we call circling the problem, where you can actually highlight and annotate on top of the photo and highlight what's going on or what you're seeing here. So we have these different options here below for you to draw. I'll just draw in red here as a priority. Let's make it like that. And then I'll say, you know what, this is the type of thing that we're seeing here. Let's pull this up. I'm gonna make it blue maybe. There we go. So I'll go like that and I'll say, you know what, this is the problem. Or, we need to keep it inside this area. I'm seeing some problems here. Anything that you would like to annotate in there, right? You can kind of highlight there. You can hit done here at the top, done here at the bottom, and now your photo has been attached there. Same thing with audio files. If there's a strange noise coming from a piece of equipment or something related to maybe your HVAC or something else, right? You can attach the actual audio sounds and have this, sent out to whomever needs to come take a look at it or fix it. So really any data that you have that you can enter in here. We're going to help simplify and then attach for everyone to have full visibility as to what's going on. Again, geotags, this is actually taking my exact location. I can sign off here, real-time signature field, and then hit submit. Once it's submitted, it's going to follow, again, any configured workflow you want it to follow, whether it's alerting someone that there's an issue on hand, again, depending on the priority level or whatever other, I guess, scenario you want it to run through. But we're going to follow that to the letter. And that's pretty much the gist of our incident reporting module that we've designed. But keep in mind, we can manipulate this, we can configure this to match any existing workflow, any existing process that you have, and or upgrade it in any which way you would like it to go. Now, I know that kind of concludes the main forms and processes that I was hoping to share today. Alexandria, do you have any other questions, or do we have any more coming from the audience here?
Yeah, Annabelle asked, what happens when a technician is out in the yard with no signal? Does the inspection still get captured?
Great question. So this is a native app. This is not a web-based application. It does not require a data connection for it to work. We do offer offline mode, meaning that if they are out in the yard or they're in the middle of nowhere or underground in some cases, right, they'll be able to still start and capture this data. It is temporarily stored on that mobile device. And then once you come back into a data connection, it's synced with the cloud and can be viewed from any data connection or any kind of internet connection there.
Awesome. And then we had another follow-up question from Andre. When a forklift fails inspection, what happens next? Does it automatically create a work order and flag the part we need? Question.
That's a great question. So a couple different scenarios come to mind. Generally, most companies utilize, third-party forklift operators or companies that they might be leasing this equipment from to help actually maintain this equipment. In some cases, they may own the forklift where they have to do their own maintenance. So we can follow a couple different scenarios there. Let's say you're using Crown, for instance, to lease your forklift from, right? And you have a contract with them that they'll maintain this equipment to some degree. In the case of, say, a failed item found on a general daily inspection, that could flag a workflow that says, hey, we found an issue here. Here's a photo and a comment from the user that shows what they're seeing on this inspection, why they're flagging it. And that can follow a workflow that sends a message directly to Crown saying, hey, this customer has an issue here. They found a red flag on the inspection. We should probably schedule a follow-up visit to go and fix that issue. So that's just an example of a workflow that could be followed and automated, right? It's pretty simple. Now, in the case of a red flag found and you own that piece of equipment and you want to have it automatically issue a repair order or a work order for one of your maintenance, maybe on-hand maintenance staff to fix, right? Or you maybe need to hire someone else to come in and fix it. That work order now will be open in our system, and you can see exactly how long it took to fix that issue, all the labor time that went into it, and any parts that were needed to complete that fix. So again, it really depends on the type of workflow you want to follow, but that's what we're going to do.
Another question here. We run inspections across multiple states. Can supervisors see what's overdue or been missed across all of our locations in one place?
Yes, absolutely. So we have a very robust reporting tool built in within this application via our web portal. And from the web portal is sort of an admin manager's viewpoint where you can see the status of all of the work orders or assets across any or all locations, right? So you can do focused reports on one location or all 52 locations, if that's how many you have, and get a nice broad report bubbled right to the top on your dashboard showing you how many are out there to be completed, how many were done in the last month, and how many are planned in the next month. So yes, we have some great reporting in the back end. And if they use any kind of, I would say, other reporting tools, maybe like a Power BI type application, we can integrate with those types of systems and push these reports directly into those as well.
Well, that's super helpful. Any more questions before we wrap this up? And anyone? I will say if you'd like to contact Evan, we have that information available. Happy to share that, as well as we have lots of great content on our website as well, with maintenance reports, ebooks, everything you need to focus on facility and asset maintenance in one place. So that's a great resource as well. I don't see any more questions here. Evan, thank you again so much for your time today. I really appreciate the step-by-step walkthrough and explaining that for these individuals. And thank you to everyone who joined us today. I super appreciate your time. We'll let you get back to your busy days, working hard on your fleets and your facilities. Thank you again so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you.